Yo, what up? We're back on. Look, this channel's been active, but not in the way that it was before, okay? Anyways, today, I just feel like doing one of these. We're in an event drought. I might as well do something that, does something event related. So here's Minecraft Event Team Randomizer V1, Part 2. I assume I've done this one time. I don't know. It's been a little while since we've done the randomizers. For anyone unaware, I spin the wheel and it gives me a name, and that person now goes on a team. I think the idea was with this combined one is we make 10 teams of 5. Also, I have some classical music in the background because I like switching it up. I don't want to just listen to Nintendo forever. This is a situation where I spin this wheel, of course. I spin for the next person, in which it's Cleo. And I have a choice of where to put them now, right? Do I put them with an existing part of this roster, which considering the list of people we have available, honestly not a terrible idea, but do I put Cleo on this team with Sam, or do I make a new team with Cleo from the ground up? I know Sam's a big fan of Hermitcraft, so honestly, I'm going to put Cleo with Sam. That's actually not a bad start. You love to see it. You'll have to see it. It's Timmy, and that's an example of someone who definitely won't fit on that team. So look at Timmy. That's not Timmy, that's John. Here's Timmy. Timmy on his own team. And we continue forwards. Sneak, Snag. That is also somebody who will go on their own team. Sneak, Snag. And then I see Smitty. Interesting. So this is an example of where the Minecraft event randomizer, or event team randomizer comes to play, where it shines bright, is Smitty, who's never played in a Minecraft event before, I think, unless he played in Minecraft Monday and / or Minecraft Ultimate. Those are the only ones I think he would have played in ever. Jesus, this is loud! Damn! Anyways, Smitty goes with Sneak. As much as they're not, like, I don't know if they're, like, actual friends, they will get along well. Cottontail, better off being on our own team, sorry. Jody, ooh, we love Jody. Jody will go with Timmy. As much as I doubt we'll get John, I think Jody and Timmy is a decent combination. They might be faintly familiar with each other. Akka will set up for a different team. Finster with Cottontail is kind of like a perfect fit. Funnily enough, that just works really well. Cherryfire is an interesting one here. Cherryfire could go in a lot of different spots. Could go there, could go here, of course. Could go on a separate team. I'll take the risk. Sorry. Not so much the risk, but more so I'll take the gamble that this will be a more variety-leaning result, or maybe a different type of result, where I think Cherryfire fits best on red. Eric Point Crow is another different avenue type of vibe. I will set up a different team using Eric. Janet, a very, very convenient player here, will fit quite nicely with the team over here. With Jody especially, but should be fine with Timmy too. May will be a great person to have for VTubers, etc. Which, I mean, we don't know, of course, how many VTubers we're gonna get. Right. I'm not sure if May and Cotton are familiar with each other, but it could be worth to go in that route. How many VTubers are even on this list? I don't think there's like a crazy amount, right? It's like a pretty standard amount of VTubers, considering the Block Horse roster involvement. I think on average we're gonna hit like 3 more VTubers, maybe 4 after this. I don't think that's gonna completely make up for one team, so we'll put May with the very, very NSFW duo there. Then Jack Parasite, I'll put with Akko. It's a little strong leaning to put them together, but I think they'll work nicely together. I mean, they are friends, right? They know each other, so Jack and Shay should be fine. Shelby will be very easy to work with. So easy, even that there's multiple spots where Shelby could go. So if I grab Shelby, that's Tina. Where's Shelby at? Shelby right here. Shelby fits with green team, I think, vibe-wise at least. Shelby could go in red pretty easily as well. I'd even say that Shelby could fit the vibe on yellow. Maybe a crazy take. Of course, Smitty and Shelby are on kind of opposite parts of the internet, but I think Sneeg is a very good person to glue, you know, them together. And even Eric and Shelby, I don't know if they know each other, but that feels correct. That feels like it could be a very, very fun combo, especially if you could get like an Ethan Nestor involved, for example, right? Or whatever, right? So most safe option here is to put Shelby on red. It's probably the best idea. Shelby knows at least 2 people there, probably familiar with Cherry Fire. Sorry. However, we also want to make sure that the balancing on green is a little bit better. Though Akko and Jack Parasite are pretty willing to team with new people. So I'm going to go for the following on red. I think Shelby on red is good. Michael can go on a few types of teams. You would think Michael on yellow is like a good approach. I'm not convinced that is the right play here. I think Michael with green here is actually a better. Jesus, wow, so many accents just came to play at once. I think Michael and green is a slightly better idea in terms of future-proofing. I think Michael will help make certain people more eligible to fit onto green while still working decently well with Shay and Jack. Next up, we have Tango. So Tango, I should have probably put Shelby on a different team. Tango going on red is a pretty safe play. As much as Tango only really knows Cleo here. Oh, sorry. As much as Tango mostly is in tandem with Cleo. I mean, making a whole team separate for Tango is probably not a great idea. But, like, could. Totally could. I think this is safe. It's safe. Red team at least makes a little bit of sense. King Samalot is a wild card. So, this is also a duplicate, so we can skip that one. The thing, and that's also a duplicate. With the thing with King Samalot, that's a get a duplicate. King Samalot right here, is that he is kind of a chameleon, I would say. He doesn't know that many people, but he would be very easy to team with a lot of people. In terms of connections, his best fit is green. However, I am worried that if I put King Samalot on green, they win by a lot. The music also just got extra intense. I think green team wins by a lot if I put King Samalot on green, because Shay, Jack, and Sammy together is very good, and then Michael is already there. Michael is not a bad player. So, that is scary. I'm thinking of 2 potential teams. Either I put Sammy with Eric. They don't know each other, I think, but I think they'll vibe nicely. I think it would be a fun combination. I think there's some stuff you could do with that could be interesting. Or I put Sammy with Sneeg and Smitty. I think there's a chance King Samalot and Sneeg are familiar. And I think the high energy that Sammy brings to the table would mesh well with Smitty. So I am debating on what to do. Which good Minecrafters would I even, or better players would I even expect to put with Sneeg? Maybe like a Lifestealer would be an easy pick, because Lifestealers right now wouldn't really go anywhere else. I think that Sneeg is very easy to give a lot of the Minecrafters to. So I'll put Sammy with Eric. It's not a conventional approach, but it's doable. Foolish though, easy orange edition, right? For sure. Just makes so much sense to put Foolish there. That also helps balance things out slightly, which is very nice. Fiona, Fan. Well, that's also orange. But that is quite an interesting combo of people. Also, kind of got a lot of OTV adjacent people early on. This now is a very peculiar situation. Or I could put Fiona here. I don't know. I think Fan is a very fun person to work with in terms of team making. Fan is a very energetic person, brings a lot to the table. This orange team would be fire. Such a sick team. However, it now means that in the instance that I do get OTV and friends, I have to build another team, which is quite tricky, but that's fine. Feinberg. You're right. Feinberg. I'm gonna use Feinberg as my like easy to work with whatever type of player and put him on his own team. And anytime I get a shit player, they're going with Feinberg for the most part, and try to muster something up there. Unlucky. Steve would have been a really easy person to put for Orange, right? Because Janet's already there. Also, just generally knowing people. Though I don't think anyone on Orange I would have been able to put somewhere else. At least not realistically speaking. I'll put Steve here. Probably. Does it make sense? No, not really. But it's funny. So I'm going with it. It's funny. Cub fan. Okay, and this is an instance where I will have to build a new team. Unless I put Cub with Fine, that would be an easy approach. But considering who I would put with Cub fan, putting that group with Feinberg is too strong. So we're not doing that. Rattles, of course, also makes a lot of sense to go with Feinberg. But I'm actually going to put Rattles on maybe a team you wouldn't expect. Maybe a team you wouldn't expect necessarily. I'm going to put Rattles right here, on the Lime team. Rattles and May, of course, have teamed a few times before. And I think Rattles would be really fun in this type of environment. I think it'd be cool. Panky. Now, Panky is an example of someone who could easily go with Sneak, of course. Panky, as of recent, is a lot easier to work with in terms of team making because he has branched out a lot more, right, as a creator. He has gotten to know a lot more people, gotten into a more comfortable state as a creator, I would say, as well, because he's grown a lot, of course, to the point where I think Panky is relatively flexible. I will go for this, though. As much as it doesn't necessarily make the most sense, I would have to bank on, like, fruit berries for it to make any more sense. So I think Pangy, funny enough, will work pretty well with that crowd and should be fine. Scott, up next, though. Scott, of course, because of MCC, knows a lot of people. Generally, very easy to get along with as well. Relatively easy, at least, of course. Because Scott's just a very friendly guy, especially in person. I think generally Cub fans' circle would be the MCC crowd. I think, of course, Scott's circle would be mostly the MCC crowd. I'm gonna go for that approach. Scott also could fit decently well on green. Of course, this would be fine. However, again, I'm trying to look out for balancing to an extent, and I am a little worried about green team being too good. So I'm gonna put Scott with Cub fan. I don't actually know if they've teamed before, but it's a relatively safe-ish approach. This is a fun example. So Josuiji Shinri, or more so just Shinri, one of the VTubers from Hollow Stars who has played in Block Wars, is somebody who I will put with Feinberg, and cross my fingers that we get a VTuber team of sorts. They have teamed before, so that makes sense. Pearl would have fit very nicely on red, but also very nicely fits onto the Aqua team, of course. So we're going with that. I'll put Ross up for debate here as well. Pearlescent Moon. Where is Pearl? Pokimane is here, which means Pearl's right there. There you go. I'll put Pearl here with the Scott and Cub. I think that's very safe. Ross, I'll put here. Ross and Michael aren't necessarily like people that know each other. I think maybe they've spoken briefly. I have no clue. Ross could also work there, but Ross with Akko and Jack Parseth is good. I think that's nice. I think that works decently well. May again duplicate, of course. Ant Venom. I mean, Ant Venom on green would be a great fit for specifically Michael being there. But I don't know, man. That's a little strong still, I think. Also, I'm just putting him there for one reason, and it's just Michael McChill. Ant Venom, I think, is fine to put here. It's, like, fine. It doesn't... it's okay. That's decent. I already saw it coming. Shane's gonna have to be on his own team. This is bad. Having Shane and Fine... as like noob proof, not noob proof, but you know what I mean. Like hope that I get some lower skill players and just put them there. Is definitely a little scary. Vinny Vine Sauce. Look, man. Vinny works well here. Snake's there. I think Vinny and Steve might be familiar. Vinny and Smitty is like possible. I mean, that's just such a sick team. It's probably balanced. My other option would be like Cyan, Vinny, and Eric are familiar with each other. King Samlot and Vinny would be a generational POV, but I'm not too worried about Cyan's strength-wise right now, so I'm not going to go for that. Catherine Elizabeth is a interesting example here, though, of what should I do, because I have options, right? The thing with Catherine is Catherine, right here, slots nicely here. I think Catherine there would be fine, of course. Or even here, maybe not the most conventional approach, but I think they'd mesh decently well. The thing is like, I could also put Catherine with Shane and kind of fingers crossed bank on that working out in terms of just a team that's Minecrafty, that's balanceable around Fire Breath Man. Because my problem here, I can just guarantee you right now, either purple or pink is going to be a broken team, probably. Unless I get really lucky. So I want to say Catherine on Aqua is the best approach. Though, Aqua does kind of lack like a standout strong player. It's either Ant or Scott, right? That is leading the team. Not that like Orange, I mean Orange is relying on Timmy, I guess Sam on Red, so it's not like the best across the board there. I'm really learning that like the Shelby call, especially on Red, was a bit of a fluke. Though there was no way I was gonna predict that, right? I'm thinking that if I get like a decent-ish Minecrafter, ignoring Becky being here, of course. If I get a decent-ish Minecrafter that fits the vibe for something like Aqua, I do kind of want to commit to that. I think if I put Catherine on purple, I could set up for another team that fits with Minecrafters, because the Feinberg team is currently not suited for that. So moving on, Bekyamon is somebody... I just saw what I pulled. Becky is somebody who here would fit super nicely, however, balancing. Becky here, I think, is also decent. Balancing is a little concerning, but I think it's okay. So I would be willing to commit to that. It's a little strong, but it's fine. My other option is putting Beck there. Oh, sorry. Which would be fine, but generally I think this is a better approach. Hannah kind of throws a wrench into this whole plan, because I could commit to putting Hannah on her own team, but now it's a matter of, if I get an Esther, what the hell am I doing? I can also put Hannah on Lime. It's a little strong. It's also a little strange, but it's not the worst. Also, what am I even hoping for Hannah? Like, I mean, I guess variety people are relatively easy to work with for a Hannah team, but still, it's like, who am I even hoping for Lime? I don't know. I'll put Hannah on her own team and cross my fingers that it works out. And there we go. That's Quig. Okay, cool. Like, of course, all the S tiers are gonna come rolling in right now, aren't they? Here's Quig. Yeah, I want to see Quig and Shane team up. F it. That's fun. Philboat, I'll put with Eric Point Crow. That makes just a lot of sense. Philboat is a little better. BTMC we can put with either Feinberg. If I actually grab BTMC first, we can put BTMC either with Feinberg. BTMC with Hannah would be fine. BTMC with Sammy would be fine. But not necessarily like the whole team combined. I'm gonna put BTMC with Feinberg. Jimmy is... Ooh. Now this is a choice that I have to make for Jimmy. He can fit either here, or he could fit here, or he could fit here decently well as well. This definitely not. This would be odd. This, yeah. So, Jimmy on Shane's team, of course, would be fine. I'm gonna say we put Jimmy on Aqua though. That just kind of solidifies that team to be good. Lexi up next. Lexi would have fit on Aqua too, but I think Lexi also is somebody who could pretty easily be slotted onto Shane's team. I mean, Lexi and Shane should know each other, probably, or at least they're gonna be familiar. Lexi right here. Also, in terms of balancing, it should be helpful. Lexi also could go with Hannah. Now that I look at it. But I'm gonna say Shane's team vibe is maybe a little better for that. Handsome fella is a little interesting here. Where is he at? Here we go. Handsome fella could go. I mean, it would have been nice for yellow. Lime would be a little odd. I think it's gonna have to be cyan. Handsome does know Hannah, but I don't know what type of team I'm hoping for there. So I actually kind of like doing this. It's a little weird, but it's funny, so it's fine. Grimmy is a interesting example to work with here because Grimmy knows two of the people here on the Lime team. However, or maybe even three. I don't. Maybe Grimmy and Khan know each other. I would doubt that Finn and Grimmy are familiar. Grimmy could also go on Pink, I think. Grimmy has team with Feinberg. Grimmy might know Shinri. Balancing wise would help to have Grimmy there. Who am I hoping for Lime though? I don't know. Grimmy like fits okay, but not like fantastic. I'll commit to putting them at no, because I could kind of get anybody for that team and it'd be fine. I'll put Grimmy on Lime. Maddie up next. Maddie's going with Shane's team, probably, right? I mean, Maddie could also work with what's it called? Maddie could also work with Hannah's team potentially. Hannah's team being Hannah, of course. But I think Maddie on Shane's team is a good call. I should have probably put Quake somewhere else. It was a funny bit, but I'm regretting it. Ethan Nestor, though, I literally mentioned him for one of the teams to make something make sense, and here we are. Ethan Nestor will go here. Is it balanced? No. But it works. And that's all that matters. Jordan, Captain Sparkles, going with Hannah X Rose. I think that's probably the safest bet we've got. Poke should have gone on the team that I just put Ethan Nestor on, probably. Which is an oopsie on my part. That is very unfortunate. Poke still being a decent person to put on blue. Not like the best fit, but it's fine. Porcelain Maids, Joe Wool is going on pink with Feinberg. Oh my god, we pulled Dane to the M. Where is Porcelain at? Porcelain Maid going yonder. Dane to the M going on blue, of course. Which is actually not the worst. We now have 2 slots left. Let's see what we get. We have SK, who actually would be an interesting one here to work with. I regardless of knowing who the next pull is, I think I would have leaned SK going on team Feinberg regardless, for 2 reasons. To an extent balancing, though SK is a very good player, but to an extent balancing, and for the rest, SK with Captain Sparkles and Dane TDM would be an experience. I think makes some more sense, and in B-dubs there is decent. Alright, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to let myself spin for 5 players to be subs. This is something I don't think I've done before. I'm going to give myself 5 players for subs and see if I can fix some of the teams using the substitutes. So one is Mythical Sausage. Another is Forcey. Then we have Shane's a Duplicate. We have Chilled Chaos as another one. We have Dave Kratzy as another one. And then we have Michi, the VTuber. Michi Mochi V. Okay. So, let's take a look. What is the glaring issue, or are there any glaring issues that we are looking at in terms of these teams? I would say, generally, if we rank the teams, I think you kind of have to. How do you rank these teams? Cyan's definitely one of the weaker ones. I'd say orange and red are some of the weaker ones. Oops, if we just kind of put them down. Yeah, red's not like a particularly strong team. Feinberg's team is kind of really good. This is not like a super duper strong team. This team is pretty solid. This team's pretty solid. These are all. No, these are actually not bad. This yellow team might be like a little weak-ish, but not like bad at all. Between orange, I think orange is actually better than red. Do I think cyan is better than red? No. Probably not. Okay. Then for the rest, I mean, Shane and Quake is crazy, no? It's kind of an insane combo. Can I even solve that with who I have? Not really, but it's kind of an insane combo. I do think that that beats this team. This could be a good team, this Aqua team. It just kind of depends. I do think it's probably better than that. Say Hannah's team's a little better. I think Shane's team might be a little better than this team. S tier duos are kind of crazy, though. Maybe that's a little stronger. Trying to think, would Hannah's team be like a balancing problem? Not really. Poke's kind of an odd person on that team, but it's not like horrible. Like I would, in terms of team composition, I would ideally put 4C over Poke to make that team make more sense. That does buff the team, which it doesn't need to be buffed. Michi could go on Pink to help balance Pink out, but do I want to take out SK or BTMC? Not necessarily. Probably would take out SK though, strictly based off of balancing, although I do think SK there is really fun. It is a question of, do I allow myself to then put SK on a different team? Do I allow myself to sub people off of teams and then onto other teams? Because if I do that, I can fix a lot of things here. So let's start. So first off, I think putting Michi here, Michi probably being there in terms of ranking, does make Pink a lot more balanced. Of course, Feinberg is already a balancing concern, but it does make this, Feinberg team a lot more balanced. I think it lands it around where I put it, maybe like here, right, or here. It doesn't really matter. So that's SK who I subbed out. Then I think Dave is easy to put onto a team. Could be like red. 4C on red could be fun. So that's chill, right? I guess. I would also say Mythical Sausage over Michael on Garain could be like a minor improvement in terms of team, like overall team cohesiveness. It just makes it more Realm-esque, right, with Beck and Ross there, which would be good. I'm really happy with what I did for Aqua Team though. Aqua Team ended up being like a pretty solid team. I really like that. That's kind of a cool one. I don't think Chilled really comes into the conversation here for any of these teams. He's not like a pull that's gonna work out super well. The only way that I could make Chilled work is if I completely transform Red just to be based around Shelby and Chilled, which is just not a good idea. I am gonna put Dave onto Cyan. I'm gonna take out Handsome and put Dave there. This actually does help this team a good amount. It makes it maybe like around there in terms of skill level, which isn't like great, but it's better. Like I think you're now getting more balanced teams here. Dave could have been good to have on red, but I think 4C on red is not a bad pull either. I'm trying to think instead of who though. You're definitely not wanting to take out Sam here, as much as that would keep other things intact. Would 4C over Cherry make much sense? I mean, Cherry and 4C are probably familiar. That's kind of a connection I need. Do I put 4C over Shelby? I don't think so. I think 4C over Tango makes a more cohesive team. As much as I like having Tango there, because I think there's a lot of interesting things going on, I do think it makes a more cohesive, or at least a more balanced slash cohesive team to replace Tango with 4C. Yeah, we'll do that. So 4C now is a top end player for that team. This team shoots up an okay amount. Honestly, even surpasses this team probably. Puts it more in the middle of the ranks. Which then leaves Orange team at the bottom, which I think is the team that falls behind a decent amount right now. I really want to put SK on here. I don't really know instead of who. Probably instead of Fan and Jody's a nice combo. With Foolish as well is a nice combo. Or Janet there is really nice. This is such a good cohesive team. Realistically, the least fitting person kind of is Timmy, probably to an extent. And replacing SK or Timmy with SK doesn't really do anything. So if I want to make that team more balanced and put SK in, I'm gonna have to remove. Wow. I mean, replacing Jody would be fine because you keep around a lot of the existing things. Jody also doesn't seem like the most interested in some like Minecraft events, to my knowledge. So I do think that makes for a more cohesive team. In terms of balancing, it doesn't really screw much. And yeah, SK just top frag team here does make this team a lot better. Probably better than that. Honestly, better than this team. Better than this team. I actually don't think this team is... Yeah, I think this yellow team is definitely better than this lime team. I even think there's a chance the cyan team is better than the lime team. I don't know how good Finster would be at Minecraft nowadays, admittedly. Yeah, I mean, this is pretty solid. I could make Shane's team more balanced, maybe. Him and Quig is just kind of crazy, but if I put Mythical Sausage over Quig, I feel like that's like a little too big of like a quote-unquote nerf, to an extent. But it might be the play. I just think Shane and Quig's kind of an outrageous combo here. Though, that being said, Hannah Poke and Captain Sparkles is pretty damn good. So, I don't know, man. But if I compare it to, like, Pink, it's like Pink and Purple don't have the same format, but they're kind of relying on the same format, right? It's a insanely good top player, like the standout in this entire roster by a decent margin, best player, with some weaker and lower end players and a second frag that's currently varying in skill comparatively. Putting Mythical Sausage over Quig on Purple does kind of make Purple team a little too weak, probably, though I don't really have any proper substitutes to make here for a more balanced overall team. But what I could do is I could consider putting Mythical Sausage on Aqua to maybe make that a bit more well-rounded, and then putting whoever I take off of Aqua instead of Quig on Purple, and then can I put Quig somewhere else? That makes more sense. I don't really know. Honestly, I'm not sure. I also had, of course, like mentioned previously, the option to put Sausage on green, you know, on the Akko team to make that more balanced. I think that's not a bad idea. Which then puts Michael in position to go on blue, which does make a decent amount of sense. B-dubs there feels a little out of place, of course, but I don't really know what else I would do with B-dubs. So I guess you'd want to substitute B-dubs, but I don't think Michael over B-dubs is going to be much of a benefit necessarily to the blue team. But let's explore that. So Mythical Sausage over Michael on green doesn't really make a big difference. I do think, on average, this green team was already better than Pink, probably. Very much depends on which event and what games, of course. If this is Block Wars, Pink is better. If this is MCC, green is better. Then Michael going to blue could be of interest. Of course, Michael's teamed with Hannah previously, probably teamed with Sparkles previously, maybe a team with DanTDM previously. I want to put Michael over B-dubs. But, actually, wait, I could just put couldn't I just put Tango over Poke on blue? Wouldn't that solve a lot of my problems? Kind of. Maybe. Not really. Honestly, kind of. Well, okay, so I'm thinking switcheroo wise. If I get 4C onto blue somehow and get Tango onto blue, but who am I replacing? Who am I removing? I like putting 4C on blue. And, I mean, honestly, I'd even want to swap Hannah with, like, Shane. If I could do, like, Tango here, Shane, and then that's the team, that's fucking fire. And then Hannah with Quig and the girlies. I actually like that a lot. So we're taking off Poke, putting Tango here, swapping them. That's more balanced. This is a insanely cool team. I love this blue team. This blue team is fantastic. I love that. That is so cool. Such a sick team. It is Shane with Team Unk, but it's funny. I like it. I like it. Tango probably 4th frags here. I love that. That's cool. That's really cool. Poke is now a better player that I can play around with. Poke on Cyan, for example, could help balance that team out a little bit more, make it a little bit stronger. I don't know who I would replace. Sammy is out of place on Cyan. Do I need Samalot for a different team? I guess Sammy on yellow could make that a better team, but instead of who? Like, Steve. But that doesn't really do anything. So, yeah. I think this is fine. Probably. This is probably fine. Alright. Yeah. I think this is good. I think I'll call it here. Probably on average this team drops like to here. I think these teams are now pretty damn close. I think this is a little bit of a better team just because Shane gets... I think Jordan and B Team C are on relatively equal levels of skill, but Dan TDM is just a better 3rd frag than any of Fine's 3rd frag options, and I think the lower end is similar. Yeah, I'm liking this. This is honestly not a bad... Honestly, pretty sick draft. I kind of love this. I might do this more honestly, and while we have this event going on, I kind of love the result here that we're dealing with, and yeah, let me know your thoughts on whether you would have approached this differently, or if you think that I suck. Just let me know. Yeah, this is cool. So yeah, cool. Anyways, talk to you later. Bye.